It's been very clear what has been going on in the crypto market when it comes to XRP. They're trying to shake retail out of their positions so they can pick them up cheaper and hold them for when the market starts its big rally, when adoption begins. And luckily, XRP's done a pretty good job of holding support. It keeps bouncing off of this 200-day moving average like we've been talking about. But I would just really want to show you guys what we've kind of been up against as of late and when this may in fact break. So again, if you guys haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. It has been growing like crazy and it is all because of you guys. Appreciate all the support that you guys give. But we've done a very good job of, hitting this 200-day moving average, bouncing, hitting this 200-day moving average, bouncing. Yes, we did have a wick below it back here in the early part of April, but you guys can see that XRP has not really wanted to retrace. And this is despite all this negative crap that we have been dealing with. I'm talking about tariff news. I'm talking about Trump and Elon beef. I'm talking about escalations abroad, economic uncertainty, but yet XRP has been resilient. And it's wildly one of the few assets that is holding prices very similar to what it was in the early part of December. That's a really good sign. And what this is showing is that there's an extreme sense of conviction when it comes to retail. But what you're seeing is a lot of hit pieces out there for XRP and many other assets in the space. For example, Ripple's $487 million XRP transfer sparks questions. XRP must crash first, right? There's all these just negative garbage articles trying to spin things to make you capitulate and dump your position, thinking that one, you're either smarter than the market, or two, that XRP is going to go on this huge retracement. Now, here's the thing. We don't know if things are going to change in the market drastically, right? It could be for the worse, could be for the better. And a lot of people, I think, are under the understanding that, yes, long-term, the market is going to rise, but we're dealing with a lot of short-term noise. And that is, in fact, the best way to describe it right now is short-term noise. And there has been very clear manipulation that has been taking place. And you can see it, right? We've had the exact people that are accumulating a lot of assets like, Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP are the ones that are spewing a lot of this negative news and, negative information to retail to try to get them to dump their positions. All right. Now, what I will say are some very good signs for XRP is one, we did in fact have a bullish cross on the stochastic RSI on the daily. That's a great sign. And we keep getting these bullish crosses taking place. And what we're seeing is a very clear sign that the market does in fact want to move to the upside. What we've also seen is another week of exchange supply removal for XRP. I will say this is the lowest week we have seen in quite some time, basically since the middle of March. And that's really kind of a nothing burger. Usually if it is that quiet, it's usually before a significant move in the market. Not saying that's what's going to happen, but that's usually, again, when things get pretty quiet, it's right before things get pretty loud in the space. And I will say what we've been fighting against is still a lot of shorts, a lot of people trying to bet against XRP. The good news is that we have, in fact, been liquidating some of those shorts along the way as well here. For example, the last 24 hours, $1.69 million in liquidations, basically $1 million of that were short liquidations. So what we're kind of seeing around the crypto space, like I've talked about in some other videos, are a series of bear traps. It's trying to suck people in, right? There's some manipulation that's going both ways. We're getting manipulated to the downside. We're getting manipulated to try to get retail to capitulate. But at the same time, the market makers have been doing a pretty good job of sucking bears in and basically keeping the market at a good point of stability, if that makes sense, right? What we're seeing is actually a healthy market, but there's a lot more nuance to it now. There's a lot more players, a lot more open interest than we've been historically seeing, and it's causing a lot more volatile swings. And that is what kind of freaks retail out, frankly. Now, that being said, we're on the verge of some potentially good things here for the weekly close. BTC, for example, above its 20-day moving average currently. That's a very good point that could be great for BTC. And what I would like to see here for XRP is a close above our 20-week moving average. That's our bull market support band. Last week, we unfortunately did close our candle below this, but we're talking about a 1% move that would take us above there in terms of XRP. And the way that things are setting up for the weekend is some potential volatility. We have been fighting against again, some of that short interest. There's huge concentrations of short leverage above here. So with higher volume, like I was talking about in my ADA video earlier today, we could in fact see a little bit of a spark, a little bit of a push to close above that. And that would be a green week for XRP. That would be a great note for the crypto market to close on, and it could carry us some momentum or give us some momentum to carry us into next week when we have our FOMC meeting. So, or our CPI report at least. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. I appreciate you as always. We're in, I would say, a pretty comfortable spot. Things have cooled down in the markets. We're kind of waiting for that moment that things decide to break. And I think we've done just enough to create kind of a nice floor for our next little push. Let's see if it happens. So appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Show your love below. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.